This is PC747. I'm here to talk about finally seeing messages coming to desktop. Look, I am a big Android fan. I've used iPhone, but I prefer Google. I prefer, and by Google, I mean pure Google with the Nexus or the Pixel. I don't like Samsung. I don't care for HTC. And I really feel the Motorola or any other company. I want straight from Google, the device from them, because anybody who have owned one of those devices, they'll tell you it seems like they get better with age versus worse. For me, with Samsung, I feel like it's the opposite. Now, with that said, I gotta be real. Google Messages has been and partly is because Google, when it comes to their text messaging apps, they've been all over the place. And it's like they don't seem to know what they want to do. You know, one minute they want to play around with Hangouts, then they're trying Allo, and then they're trying something else. It's like, and then if you look, they also got Google Voice that has their own little text messaging app. It's like they're all over the place, and it's like they're spread thin. Because of that, it's like, all right, are we going to really get to a point where we get message to where it needs to be? Because if you go to, and that's the one thing I will say that Apple does right, and that is with their text messaging app. They got it down, you know. It is the best text messaging app out there. And regardless of how you feel about which company or which phone you want to go with, you got to give Apple that. They know how to do it. They do it right. And they continue to improve on it to the point they added so much, such as emojis and animojis and all that stuff. But he feels giving it or not, they do it right. And the fact that if you have an iPad or a MacBook, how it integrates. You don't have to do anything special. If you got your iPad there, your phone there, you can go ahead and respond to a text message right there from your iPad or your MacBook. And it's like, okay, this has been a feature with Apple for a while. Why in the world is it not a feature with Google or with Android? I mean, it's like it's been long overdue. Now, you can get some third-party apps that do that, but you can't quite get it with the stock messaging app. Now, I will say this. One thing I think Google is going to have to do is find a way to get their messaging app to where it performs on par or even better than what Apple is able to do. And then be able to find a way to make it as part of their package. Like it's a mandatory install. Because like I say, when you go to Samsung, they got their own messaging app. HTC have theirs. You know, so if you buy, and then you also gotta look at your carriers. They also have like, you know, Verizon Wireless have their special messaging app, and AT&T and so on and so on. So when you buy an Android phone, you can have up to 3 messaging apps depending on what phone you have. One through Google, one through the manufacturer, one through the carrier. You know, and unfortunately, only 1 or 2 of them may be installed. The other ones, you have to disable it if they allow you to do that. And this is one area where Google need to be able to put their foot down and say, look, enough of that. You know, all these separate messaging apps need to go. Apple have been able to do that and command it. It's time for Google to be able to do that. But I doubt they're going to, because again, they know that their carriers are not going to want that. Their partners are going to demand to be able to have their own messaging app. They're going to want to be able to do it. And partly because, well, the other reason, Google for themselves are not committed to the messaging. How are you going to demand Samsung and the carriers or get behind you when, well, you're not quite behind it all the way. You're still dabbling around with other messaging apps. Until they finally say, okay, look, we're going to focus completely on making this the best text messaging app. All the things that are good about Hangouts, Allo. We're going to bring it there, make it the premier app. Then maybe they could demand the manufacturers and carriers get on board. But until then, it's like, well, you seem to not be all in. Don't expect us to be all in. Let's continue doing business as usual. And if we continue doing business as usual, we'll continue on with a mediocre tech meshing app. especially when compared to what Apple has been doing. This is PC747. I'm out.